people are so afraid to change their habits, and part of it is because they feel like they have to commit to it, and it's like, "Okay, but you don't. You just have to do it once and see how it feels."
Hey team, welcome back to another episode of The Wellness Effect. And today it's just the Iskra sisters, Iskra squared, because Jensen is no longer with us.
Oh,
Just
no.
kidding. She's just helping Matt, her boyfriend, move to another city. So we thought we would talk a little bit about empaths today because Kira and I are both major empaths. So is Jensen, actually, but again, she's not here. So you snooze, you lose. But we're super excited for this episode. So we're just going to kind of talk about how being an empath can impact your healing journey. And it's been really cool just both of us doing our own little research on this. We've learned a lot. So we're just going to kind of explain like what is an empath and like kind of a healthy empath, unhealthy empaths, and then how being an empath can show up in symptoms and your HTMA testing and other testing and just kind of the toll it takes on our body because it's not always easy.
Mhm.
So we're excited, but first, as per usual, how was your weekend?
Mine was good. Me and Brett went on a little baby moon, and it was so fun. We just went to the city and, like, ate and ate and ate. Our plan, I was honestly people might hate me for saying this, but we were like, "We're just gonna go eat, like, fat, rich pigs because that's all we can do."
Did you guys go to Edmonton or Saskatoon?
Edmonton.
Okay, I
But
thought
it was
so.
crazy, like, I don't know what like, if it's always been this way or, like, if I'm sensitive at the moment, but there are a lot of unhoused people. I've never it was devastating, honestly, to see, like, we were walking down the street in the middle of the afternoon, there's 100 people, like, 80 of them were high on drugs and, like, no shoes, and I'm just like, "What
Really?
is
So
going
Edmonton's
on?"
bad.
It's like it's so sad because 'cause they're just they're struggling, like, this is a mental health crisis, this isn't, like, anything other than that, and it's just really sad to see. It's just really freaking sad, and I'm, like, pregnant and so emotional. I'm like, "That" we saw a girl walking so young, no shoes, like, bare feet, just walking down the road and, like, out of her mind, and I'm just, like, crying. I'm like, "That's somebody's, like, daughter, like, what is happening? What the fuck is
Oh,
happening?" But, yeah, I don't know, so it's just, like, this weird dichotomy of, like, this intense sadness and then me and Brett just eating, like, $250 meals every night. I'm like, "What is going on?"
no,
But
that's sad though. I didn't know Edmonton was that bad, but
me
like,
neither.
where do they all go in the winter? That's what scares me.
Yeah. It was terrifying, like, that's what I'm thinking, like, it's starting to already get cold at night, so I don't know. But, yeah, it was great. The city was just busy. It was also Pride weekend, so it was just, like, really overwhelming. There was a lot going on, but we just, like, people watched from our hotel room for a lot of it, which was so fun, and there was, like, an event happening, like a, pride event, like, literally right outside our window, so we just got to sit there and watch all the people, like, dressed in all their crazy pride outfits,
Oh
and
my god, that's fun.
yeah, it was actually cool, and the food we ate was just Jensen recommended, like, an Italian restaurant for us to go to that was so cool, and we, like, went for a little some swims in the pool in our hotel and, like, walks on the river, so it was really fun. It was a good little getaway,
Yeah.
and this weekend, Brett's taking Ellie fishing, so I'm gonna just be chilling.
Oh, you got the weekend off.
I know, I'm
Kind of.
excited.
Besides that baby in your stomach.
Yeah, just us 2.
Crazy. So you're in third trimester now, right?
Yeah, I'm 30 weeks, which is, like, 10 weeks left. 2 months.
That's crazy. That's so exciting.
Yeah. What's new
Wild.
with you?
Nothing. We've been living our best Kelowna life this last week, which is great. I just love Kelowna. I love where I live. I feel so lucky that we get to live here because
Yeah.
it's just the best. So that was our weekend. Had like two big boat days and they were just the best boat days because sometimes boat days get a little out of hand. There's lots of people like partying. We don't get to do like a lot of surfing. We're just kind of like listening to really loud music and it's just not overly my vibe because I like to surf and be in the water. But we just had like such a good crew and everyone like there was a couple people having a couple drinks, but no one was really like partying or getting wasted or doing any of that. And we were just surfing and like there's a couple girls in our friend group who, like, never tried to surf, and I've been trying to get them to surf for so many years, and then they all just, like, started and tried and were, like, doing it, and it just made me so happy. I was just having so much fun
I saw
teaching
the
them.
videos of Taryn, like, letting go
I
of the
cried.
rope
I
and
literally
yeah.
cried when she let go of the rope. And I'm like, speaking of being an empath, here, see you guys. But it was just so cute because Taryn tried like 3 years ago. So for those listening who don't know who Taryn is, she's like my one of my best friends. I like lived with her when I first moved to Kelowna for 4 years. Um, but she went when I first started learning and she fell and she's not like a really good swimmer. She never really learned how to swim. And you know, the first time you like hit water and
Yeah, you're
it's like
just like,
scary and you'll like get it up your nose and in your mouth and choke. And she just got so scared. She was like traumatized and she
"Oh."
like barely ever went in the water or tried anything again. So I just know how like scared and in her head she is. And she's just like, I just gotta like remember to keep breathing and like, and so when she
We've
did
just
it, I
been
was just
getting
like,
knocked
I
off the
was so
tube
proud.
by our dad since we were, like, 4 years old, so we're like, "Oh, this is nothing."
Yeah, it was just so funny the difference between, like, you can just tell who grew up on a lake or, like,
Yeah,
having doing water sports, like, we never
yeah,
did crate we had a boat and had a lake, and we did, like, lots of tubing and water skiing and stuff, but, yeah, we loved water, like, I friggin'
yeah,
love it. So,
yeah.
it was just really, really fun, and then, yeah, they do this thing in Kelowna, it's called Sunday Service, where they have, like, a DJ and it's usually meant to be more of a sober event, like, it's almost at, like, coffee shops or stuff like that, it's just, like, a gathering on Sunday, and everyone goes, and there's DJs, and everyone's, like, drinking coffee and stuff, but this last one they did it's the last one in the summer, they did it at Friend Winery, and Friend Winery is the only winery in Kelowna that's right on the beach, um,
Oh,
and so it felt like we were, like, in friggin' Italy,
yeah.
like, at a da or I don't know if Italy is the right word, but some country far away, we're, like, right on the beach, and they're, like, serving wine, and I didn't
Oh
drink,
my
but it
god.
was really, really fun. We, like, went there on the boat, got off the boat, went and hung out for a couple hours, and, yeah, we just had, like, lots of good boating days, so
Ugh,
it's
that's
been
so
nice because
nice.
summer's not far from
Doing
over, which is sad.
Yeah, I know, I'm like, "Can we all just calm?" There's, like, Halloween shit in the stores, and I'm like, "Okay, this baby
No.
is due on Halloween, and I really don't appreciate seeing Halloween candy already, I need some more time."
I know, I wonder if you're gonna have it on Halloween, I almost feel like you will.
I'm just, like, so torn between, like, it's coming any day now or I'm gonna go way overdue, like, I just have no idea what is gonna happen. I feel like it's gonna be early, so I think it'll probably be,
Oh,
like,
really?
before.
Did you have it you had Ellie a little bit early.
Yeah, she was a week, like, 6 days early, according to Western medicine. But I'm, like, so funny about my due date. I'm just like people ask me, I'm like, "Do you wanna have the 2-second version or the 45-minute version of this?" So, we'll see. We'll
Just
see
say,
what
"I don't
happens.
identify with having a due date, actually."
Yeah. That's a good that's what I should say. So I just get so awkward.
That's
I'm
what I
like,
say when people ask me
"Well,
how old I am.
I
I'm like,
don't
"Oh, I
identify
actually
with."
don't identify with age." So,
I
I'm
that's the
20 for
thing,
all you
though, like,
know.
there are people that it's like a same as, like, your sexual preference. It's like, "No, I don't identify with an age."
Yeah. I mean, I like it. I'll jump on that train. But yeah, so that was it. I feel like I had, like, a story to tell, but I can't remember now what it is.
Mm,
So, if it comes to me mid-episode, I'll let you guys know.
okay.
But we can just dive right in because 'cause I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna dive into the healing journey just, like, through the lens of an empath. We both consider ourselves to be empaths, and I think a lot of women who find themselves with, like, chronic symptoms of any kind or who get really invested in their healing journey are usually empaths. So if you feel like you've absorbed people's moods or stress or even, like, their physical pain, this episode is for you. So we're really going to unpack a lot, like the science of it, the symptoms, some tools, because we really want to, we don't, it can be like a drain and it can be really hard on your body. But, like, truthfully for Lacey and for, I mean, I'm sure for Lacey, but I know for myself, it's why I am where I am today. So it can be a great tool if we kind of just learn how to use it. It's like we're given this gift and then we have to really, like, figure out how to make it work in our favor or else it can kind of take us down a little bit. So I guess just getting into, like, what exactly an empath is a good place to start.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you're right. I think it is like a very powerful tool because obviously, like the way I think about empaths is like it's just very easy for you to take on other people's emotions. You really are sensitive to energy. For me, I'm someone who gets pretty drained after social interactions or super energized. It just depends again on the person, which is how I have become very lucky, not lucky, intentional with my friend group because there are friends that I hang out with where I leave and I'm like, wow, I'm so energized. Where most of the time, if I'm like in bigger social settings, I will become more drained.
Yeah.
So, feeling drained after social interactions, absorbing other moods and emotions, struggling to say no or to set boundaries is also a very common sign of being an empath. And then something that we kinda talk about too is just you just feel a little different, you maybe feel like a little bit too sensitive, maybe you've been told you're too sensitive, and even for me, again, for my own personal journey, I almost shut that off for many, many years, so I don't think I was always too sensitive. There was 6, 7, 8 years of my life where I pretty much shut my emotions off, so it doesn't mean you've always been like this, but I think sometimes I was, like, almost too much, and so I kinda went all the way to the other side,
Mhm.
but
And even,
yeah.
like, the dichotomy of, like, siblings, because I've always been very emotional, and there probably wasn't really a lot of space for a few more emotional people in our home when, like, it's like, okay, you always kinda naturally gravitate to, like, the next space to fill sorta thing, and you don't always get to, like, be true to, like, what's coming up for you when you're in those, like, family situations, so that's probably a piece of it too, because 'cause I've
Well, and I
definitely
also feel like
always.
I was almost more like an internal I internalize it
Yeah.
and, like, keep it to myself more so than I'm, like, showing the emotion to other people. So,
Yes.
yeah, there's lots of different ways, but I feel like if you're an
Yeah.
empath, to be completely honest. So,
Yeah.
hopefully that sums it up for you guys if you're listening.
Yeah, and
Um
actually this was when me and Lacey were like, "Okay, we have an episode to do together." I had like 5 calls one week with people who were like considering joining our program where they were like, "Well, I've always been an empath." And we like really just dug into that and how it's shown up for them and what that means and I'm like, "Okay, we need to talk about this because it's like people are starting to come out of the woodwork where they're recognizing the fact that they're an empath and then starting to tie it to the fact that they're not feeling so great and are kinda, like, ready to take that next step, so, yeah, I think like Lace said, you know if you're an empath, but
you
then it's like,
know.
"Now what? Now what do I do?"
Yeah. And so I think we can even just so you guys understand like the cost of being an empath or like how it can start to show up in physical issues, mental issues, whatever it may be, is almost what we were saying earlier is like, you internalize or you understand people's energy so much that it's very easy to fall into people pleasing tendencies. And even though that's like sometimes looked at as a manipulation aspect, it's like you don't want that person's energy to change. So you just do whatever you think you need to do in order to keep them in a steady state or a good mood or whatever, which means less boundaries for you, more people pleasing.
Yeah, and even, like, the stress piece of it, we talk so much in our program about, like, just as one human, handling your stress is often a little bit too much. We don't have the tools to, like, handle our own stress properly, let alone the stress of, like, everyone in our household and at our job and at the grocery store, so when you start taking on all of that extra because it is a stressor on your body to not only be constantly, like, managing, feeling your own emotions, but then to have someone else's on top of it, it is an added stressor, so kinda how we see it show up, and there is some science on it, but I feel like it's kinda considered to be, like, a little bit woo-woo because you can't just, like, draw blood and say, "Oh, yeah, you're an empath." People have to kinda, like, rate themselves on the empath scales, but there have been, like, literal studies, which is kinda crazy to me, like, they found increased inflammation in people who score themselves higher on the empath, like, range or whatever it's called. So that's literally inflammation showing up in your body, that's making you so you can't like absorb minerals and nutrients in your gut as well. You're more susceptible to things like leaky gut, parasites, H. pylori, all sorts of bacterial overgrowths. just from your own stress. We know that's a fact. Like stress does that to our gut and to our body. So now all of a sudden we have these empaths who are not only dealing with their own, but everyone around them. And it's just like, oh shit, okay, what we got
Well,
to
and I
deal with
think
this.
too, like with being more of a people pleaser, not being strong with boundaries, like the people that you end up attracting are usually those energy suckers or energy vampires, is what we used to call them. Which I, speaking from personal experience, have 100% ended up in that situation. I think I've talked about here, like my friendship breakups that I've had to do over the years, and that's who that those people were, was just because I never had any boundaries. I just kind of let them into my life super quickly and they just
Yeah.
took over, and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, I cannot do this." And it went on for like 3 or 4 years. I'm not saying I cut them off right away, but you end up attracting more of those people, and then they put you into that state of like you're in that chronic stress, which is going to lead to the hormone issues, the gut issues, the fatigue,
Yeah. And they
whatever.
say it's like, it's like the opposites attract and whatever. But looking back, it's almost like from my perspective and a spiritual perspective, it's like the universe is giving you these opportunities to like do something differently. And like, how long is it going to take you this time to recognize and to notice that you're literally losing yourself? You're losing the things that make you feel good because of this new person in your life. And like, is it going to be 4 years again that you let them do that? Or are you going to maybe shorten it by just like a little bit? And I remember we had a client, like one of our client coaching calls, and even just talking about dating. And one of Jensen's clients was like in a shitty relationship again, but noticed it quicker and like was able to actually get out and but still kind of beating herself up. And we're like, no, you did it. You got out like way earlier. You didn't waste 15 years of your life this time. And like that's a huge win. So it takes time and it's hard, especially as an empath, because then you literally feel bad for the person because you know they're sad and you're like, oh my God, this is terrible.
No, it's a freaking journey learning how to set boundaries after a lifetime of literally never speaking what was on my mind or doing what I wanted to. It's hard. I always even joke that it's still hard for me. Like, even just saying no or I don't want to do anything, like I have to be like so forward and so direct because I almost am like can't think about it too much or I'll just end up saying yes. So I like don't want to beat around the bush. So someone will ask me to do something and then I'll like almost yell at them. I'll be like, no, I can't do that. And then they're like, whoa. And I'm like, sorry. I just like
I'm
need to
working on
stick
my
to my boundary.
boundaries.
They're like, yeah, that's fine, Lacey. Just don't have to
Chill.
yell at me. But it's just, but you get better, you know what I mean? And you also realize like, oh, they don't hate you or like it, they literally don't care. But yeah, it's just like funny noticing when you do choose to like use your voice or start to change, make those changes. It's not like you're going to be really, really good at having those conversations or communicating what you want right away. But it's just like you kind of got to think about
Just
it, but
try
I
it.
remember this one time we were at, like, a music festival, and of course, me being me, I, like, have my 2 protein bars in my thing that I'm gonna eat while we're there, and none of my other friends had any food, but I was just like, "I'm gonna need this, I'm gonna get through the night and, like, have fun all night." So I'm, like, sitting there eating it, and I could just tell my one friend's just looking at it, and for so many years, I'd have been like, "Hey, do you want a bite?" Like, and just offered him half of my frickin' and I, like, just see him looking at it, and so I say to him, I'm like, "I just want you to know, like, I would offer you a bite, but, like, I really need to eat this whole entire bar." He's like, "Yeah, that's totally fine, like, see, like, you don't have to." I'm like, "I know, I just want you to know that, like, I was thinking about it, and I, like, know that you want a bite, but I just, like, can't give it to you." And so it's just, like, so funny how you learn to navigate it, but
And
yeah,
I find food to be, like, one of the hardest things, like, because 'cause I'll get, like, what I want, and then if someone's like I'm like, "Hey, do we wanna, like, share an appy?" Or, like, whatever, and everyone's like, "No, no, no," and I'm like, "Okay," because then, like, I'm getting how much I want to eat, and you won't be having any of it. And they're like, "Okay," and then I, like, get it, and then they want a piece, and I'm just like, "Fucking are
I
you
know.
kidding me? You're just ruining my whole day."
And
But
then
of
we
course,
look
I'm
at
like,
Brett or Zach, and we're like, "Hey, can I have a bite of that? Can I have
"Yeah."
a bite of that?" No, but it's a journey, right? And you're not
Oh,
gonna be
yeah.
perfect at it right away, but I think coming back to what we always say, you guys, is just awareness is key. So kind of start to look at your life and audit when you do hang out with certain friends, when you leave them, like, do you feel higher energy or do you feel kind of drained? And it doesn't mean if you do feel drained that that means you need to break up with them and that they're energy suckers, but it's just like you can kind of be a little bit more careful with your time and when you do choose to hang out with certain people or whatever. But I was thinking about this so much the other day because I hung out with my friend Kirst. We just like went for a walk and then I hung out with my other friend Ronnie, who he does like my content. He's like my creative director, but he's actually just like a 20 he's 22 and he's just this cute, but he's so smart and so he kind of it's almost like a little bit of a mentor. Like I he like asked me all these questions. So we went on a little walk, but after I hung out with Curse, I was like flying high. Like I literally felt high because she's just like such
Yeah.
good energy. She's always like she's super motivated. Her and her husband are super successful. They're always doing cool shit. She's like about to have a baby. I just like got in my car and I was like, wow, I have so much energy. And then I went straight and I did a walk with Ronnie and it was exact same thing. I like got in my car and then I came home and I'm just like talking Zach's ear off. Like I'm like, I have all these ideas. And I just like felt so inspired and so motivated. And I was really thinking about that. I'm like, that is so cool because not even like 3 years ago, most of my friends that I were friends with were those energy drainers. I just felt like I was constantly that person that was everyone was leaning on and I didn't really care for them that much, and I almost felt
Yeah.
bad because I was doing nothing to maintain the relationship. Like they were always reaching out to me, they were always talking, and I would just always say yes, yes, yes anytime they asked me to do something, even though I didn't want to. And so I was just like, it's just so cool now because that's what you have to do. Like you, that's almost a test, is you have to let go of those people
Yeah.
so that you can make room for people who are more aligned with where you're at and everything like that in life. And so obviously it sucks because a lot of us when we do start this healing journey you do go through that phase where you realize you're not really aligned with a lot of the people in your life anymore and you get scared and it can get lonely and you're like, well, I don't have any friends or whatever it may be. But it is again just kind of a test and you do have to make room for those people who are more aligned. But
Well,
yeah, I
and
was
you
just kind of
also have
having
to
like a little
like
reflect
level
in.
yourself up and become the person who is like able to, because you don't get to have like people like Kirsten Ronnie in your life if you're like a energy sucking
Yeah.
person, and or if you have nothing left to give them because you're an empath and you're spending a lot of your time with people who are already sucking it from you, and then you go to these like really high level people and they're like they get something out of that interaction with you too, and if they're getting nothing, like they're not gonna stick around. So it's the like it's such a interesting like dichotomy of it all
Yeah.
where it's like yes, it's these people, but it's also like have like you have to start setting the boundaries. It takes such a long time like you've said. It's like, okay, first I'm just going to like say no. And then what's going to happen? And like if they lose their shit, like well, there's a good sign. Or if you don't do something that you usually do and they can't handle it, or they have an expectation on you and you like don't meet it, what is their reaction like? Because that is telling of like what they need and what their vibration is at, and you kind of have to like expand from that to attract those other people into your it's like such a complicated thing to have to navigate. And I think we see this a lot with our clients, even like with jobs. And it's I don't know if I even like saying it, but, like, a lot of the people that we work with, like, eventually either quit their job or, like, break up with their best friend or their spouse
Get
because
a
you start to
divorce.
yeah, like, "Oh, whoopsie." But, like, we've all done it. All of us have also done those things, and it's like once you start to feel what it feels like to feel good and to feel healthy and like whatever comes first, whether it's like healing mentally as an empath or whether it's healing physically, the others typically will follow. So you almost can't like work on just one aspect of yourself without being like, huh, I wish I had a little bit more. Like, you're working on your mindset, you're reading all the books about being an empath and listening to the podcast and changing your friend group. And then it's like, but my energy's off and I'm like a little bit bloated. And then all of a sudden you're in the physical body work and they just like bleed together so much. And I think that's really why we like wanted to do this episode is because it is, I wonder if it is harder. I feel like it must be harder as an empath on a healing journey to like, because you do have to make sacrifices. You do have to say, even for your own kids, like, I'm going to wake up earlier and like do my morning routine. And it feels like you're, you know, being selfish and taking time for yourself as a parent. But in the end, it like pays off for everybody that's like permanently in your life anyway. So yeah, it's like such a
Yeah.
mind fuck.
I think it's harder for sure. And but I think honestly, it's mostly empaths that end up with
Yeah.
chronic symptoms chronic because of the lack of boundaries, because of the lack of everything, you know what I mean? But doesn't mean that you maybe aren't an empath and you don't have your own health issues and everything, but I think it's just
Yeah.
that, and then it's like a whole new level because when someone who's not an empath, they don't have any problem setting boundaries. It's like, "Okay, you need to start making this change in your life." It's usually a lot easier for them. They're not, like, so focused on the people around them or how they're interpreting what them doing, and they don't want to hurt those people, you know what I mean? It's just like they
Yeah.
just not that I wanna say
It's
they, like,
also
care
like
less than us, but in a sense, they kinda
but
do.
even like dealing with a health issue, like naturally probably makes you more of an empath because now you're like, oh my gosh. Like for me, my fertility journey, I was like, I can relate to people who've lost people in their lives now so much more than I ever had. I'm like, oh, that's the last thing I need is to feel sad for like another group of people. Like, Jesus. But that's what happens. Like, whatever your like thing is, you're then going to feel deeper for other people who are kind of going through something similar. So it almost like, again, it's like the chicken or the egg,
Which came first?
which came first.
Yeah, and I was just what just came to my mind is, me and you are also like, if you guys are familiar with human design, so Kira's a reflector and I'm a projector, and we're not gonna go into that, but honestly, we should do an episode on it because
Yeah.
it's really interesting, but on top of being empaths, those are the 2. So human design is pretty much like a horoscope on steroids, I would say, like, it's
Mhm.
just another one of those things based on, like, your time of birth and everything like that, but it's kind of complicated, but both me and you are the only 2 signs that we don't have our own energy. And
Mm.
so we feed off of other people's energy on top of being an empath. So it's like a double edged sword. But we should do a podcast episode on that. But that just like came to my mind because that
Yeah.
definitely will play a role as well.
I forgot about that. Yeah, and it's almost like we can't always control that. I can't control that I'm a reflector, but it's like having that information and that knowledge, like knowing that I'm an empath. Okay, what am I going to do with that? Am I going to go into I remember when I first started to realize it, and the first thing I did was on a trip home, like one of our family trips home. We all like to go home at the exact same time, bring
Not
all the
anymore.
children, bring our spouses. I know we haven't done it in a while,
We've
but
learned.
for a long time, it was like, how many of us? 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 adults, and then, like, however many kids we had at that point, and it just was, like, so fucking stressful, and I just started saying, like, "I'm gonna meditate in the morning now when I'm on my trips home and just see what happens," and it actually made, like, the biggest difference, or if, like, I got in an altercation with whatever family member, I would just, like, go meditate even for, like, 3 minutes. So I think sometimes too, like, I notice this with my clients a lot, it's like we get in our head that whatever change we're making has to be one that we're going to do for the rest of our lives. Like, "Oh, all of a sudden I just have to meditate every single day, like, that's what it's gonna take?" And it's like, "No, we're just doing a little test. We're just seeing, like, does meditating in the morning on my family vacation help with things at all?" And, like, then when you see the result of it, when you see that it actually helps, you kinda have no choice but to continue doing that habit or set and that's a boundary that I set for myself, like, I'm not getting out of my bed and leaving my room in the morning until I've done my meditation. And we often think that boundaries are like something like, "You can't talk to me like that." Like, that's not a boundary. So I think even just, like, learning how to effectively set boundaries and what they even are for me as an empath was, like, the hugest because you don't get to just go around and like, telling everybody what to do and how to treat you. You have to set the intention within yourself of what you can handle, what you can accept, and then what you will do when and if that boundary is kind of crossed. And if you love the person and you want them around and in your life, you can communicate the boundary in like a nice way. Like, I'm trying to just like do this or whatever it is. And hopefully they kind of take it well and you guys can manage it together. But I think it's funny because people are so afraid to change their habits. They're, like, so afraid to commit to anything, and part of it is because they feel like they have to commit to it, and it's like, "Okay, but you don't. You just have to do it once and see how it feels."
And then you're
If
gonna
that make
realize,
any
oh, meditating for 3 minutes is way better than getting in a full-on fight with my entire family and then none of us talking for 3 days. So it's like, it's always worth it. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's a good
But
point.
it's scary to make a change that you feel like you're gonna have to do for the rest of your life sometimes, and I think just remembering that you can just test some things out it just, like, takes that pressure off.
Yeah, 100%. One day at a time, 1 minute at a
Yeah.
time. So yeah, just like with everything, like I said, healing definitely starts with awareness. So just kind of starting to pay attention how you do feel. I mean, again, I think you probably know if you're an empath at this point in your life, especially if you're listening to this podcast. But if you don't, just start paying attention. It doesn't mean you're good or bad, or if you are or if you're not. Like it's we're not trying to make empaths seem like we're on a pedestal or anything like that either. But it's normal. I think a lot of people on Earth are empaths, and it's not a weakness, and like we kind of said at the beginning, it could definitely be turned into a superpower. And I think again that's probably why me, Kira, and Jensen are all coaches and in the space that we're in, because we are empaths. And I always say, like, what makes a good coach is our ability to relate. So regardless if we've been through your experience or not, there's a very good chance that we can kind of put ourselves in your shoes and understand how you're feeling. But something that comes with that, especially if you're like I always kind of talk about like unhealthy empaths and healthy empaths, because I do feel like over the years and with my mindset coach, I did like a lot of energetic protection work that over the years I've been able to, I only really take on people's positive emotions. I think if something negative happens for someone, it's very easy. Like I'll cry. Like if someone, loses a friend or whatever, it's very easy for me to like feel for them and get sad for them. But I also have learned to just kind of like wipe that energy away quite quickly, where it doesn't actually like later in the day, I'm not still feeling drained from hearing about this random person's negative experience. So that, but that does take skill and
Mhm.
time, and even with learning how to set boundaries. And so when you are constantly taking on other people's emotions and you're constantly up or you're down, like that just does lead directly into nervous system dysregulation, keeps you stuck in that constant state of fight or flight, which we know obviously one, healing is impossible if you're in that stage, but also being in that stage for too long is going to lead to a lot of the symptoms that a lot of our clients are dealing with. Um, and so, yeah, it's just good to kind of start to pay attention to your energy and how you feel. And I think even obviously, Kira, you can speak on this a little bit more, but especially
Mhm.
like once you're have children, I can't even imagine what that is like being an empath towards your kid. I'm sure it's
Oh my
just a
god.
whole nother ball game. But do you have anything to add on that? Like, do you feel
Yeah,
like you're
I'm
kind
just
of like have more empathy for Ellie? Or like how does that show up?
yeah, I think it's been really cool because I was at more of a healthy place with my empathy with her. So I'm able to just say it makes it very easy for me to be a parent because so much of parenting is just like, oh, you're frustrated right now because you don't get to watch a show. And I can feel that for her and I can be like, I can label it and say what it is and like understand and be on her level. But at the same time, I'm like, but mom has also set the boundary of it's time and we're turning your show off. And like, it's okay for you to be upset. And I know what you are. And now I can just hold space for it instead of like letting it r- like guilt me or ruin my day. So I honestly feel like my healing journey as an empath has made it way, way easier. But if I had gone into parenting like, oh my God, she's going to be mad at me. And like, I can't handle when her emotions are up here. So like, I'm just going to turn the TV on. And like, I don't know why I'm using TV as an example. Like, everyone has their thing. But I'm really grateful for it now because yeah, it just allows me to, like, very easily say what's going on, and I can see her even now, like, she'll say something like, "Well, I'm just feeling frustrated," and I'm like, "Yep, that's a feeling. Cool."
But
And I'm
that's
like,
good, and
"Oh
that's
my
literally an
gosh."
example of, like, unhealthy versus healthy. Healthy
Mhm.
is understanding, being able to feel for them, but also staying strong with your boundary where, 10 years ago, if I had a kid, like, they probably would be eating whatever they want, watch whatever they
Yeah.
want. I probably wouldn't be much of a parent. I would be much more likely to be like, I just wanna be their best friend. I want them to love me, which
Yeah.
obviously we know later down the road that usually leads to them not.
Yeah.
So
But, yeah, I think too, like, looking back, because I actually did a post about how healing is or my healing journey as an empath and how it's shown up for me, and it's just, like, ways that we don't even understand, and one of the things I kinda dug into was you're literally, like your emotions have to be processed through your drainage pathways, which is something we talk about drainage pathways on this podcast to no freaking end, and your liver is a huge piece of processing your emotions, and if on top of your own emotions and your own sluggish emotional intelligence, you're piling everyone else's on top of there. That's also contributing to that load. Same thing with like stress on our adrenals. Me and Lacey were just talking about this before we started this episode, but something we see depleted with a lot of our coaches. I mean, not us, not our coaches, our clients. No,
And
this is like
us.
an
All
ongoing
I think
joke.
all of us coaches are yeah.
Our entire coaching team, which I mean, what does this say about us? But we all just did our HTMAs and our potassium and sodium were all like less than optimal. Some mine was the worst. I'm blaming a little bit of it on pregnancy, but whatever. That's so I just remembered I had a dream last night that like my I got an HTMA back and it was perfect. I'm like, just came back to me.
No, I
Um,
I'm
so
almost like
that's pretty
jinxing myself because that's a selling point. I'm like, "We've never had one come back in normal level." So
yeah.
every time I hear, "Oh, it's not that bad." I'm like, "Well, how bad is it? Like, is it normal?" They're like, "No." I'm like,
What
"Okay, good."
happened? But yeah, it's so sodium and potassium are very commonly low among empaths. And when we look into like sodium and potassium and what they do, they're part of what we call an intracellular pump. So one sits on the inside of the cell, one sits on the outside, and they help pump everything in and out of the cell. So this is like any nutrients, any hormone, like thyroid hormone, can't get in and out of the cell if you don't have that beautiful balance of sodium and potassium. Um, so it's literally like they call them like the boundary minerals. So if you're depleted in those minerals that are helping move things in and out of the cell, that's like literally a boundary showing up in your body that you are not able to maintain because you have these depleted minerals from like everyone else's stress, everyone else's toxic opinions and things. So yeah, it's just like seeing it show up in minerals is and even like the calcium shell that you and I have both dealt with. And it's literally your body protecting you from stress physically with a shell around you and around the cell. And this is like a direct line from like empath, calcium shell, low sodium, potassium. We just see it exactly line up and it's so interesting. And I think we think just like with our health, our physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental bodies, we tend to just like not really understand how connected they are. So to hear and to see it on paper that it's a huge piece of the puzzle. Like we can't just take a supplement and like have good boundaries. We need to like actively go to therapy and have that awareness and talk it out and create this space for our body to start to thrive and heal. And so it's why we kind of intertwine all these aspects within our program because it's not just about like getting a castor oil pack and doing a parasite cleanse. It's deep shit.
When you even like think about the root cause, you know what I mean? It's like you're not depleted in sodium and potassium because you're not taking in enough in a day. You're depleted because you have zero boundaries and you're a high functioning empath that hasn't learned how to be in your like healthy version of that yet. And so it's like for sure we you could just start eating way more salt, drink the potassium cocktails that we're all doing, but if you're not fixing the root, the lack of boundaries, then that's never going to happen. And just to give a little side note on like more on the calcium shell. So when you do an HTMA, it'll show you all your levels of your minerals. So calcium is on there. So calcium shell shows up as like really, really, really high levels of calcium. And it's like, and even what we're saying, like it sounds a little woo woo, it sounds a little like spiritual, whatever, but
Yeah.
like that explanation that Kira gave of the calcium shell or the sodium potassium, like when we get your guys's results, there's a summary of findings that like is functional health that will like explain, oh, calcium shell means this protection. Like it even comes up in like, oh, if someone just had a death in the family, or like it's usually an emotional trauma, and then we test them and then they have that high calcium shell. And even I've done my HMA, I think 4 times. I've had a calcium shell once, and it was when I tested like a month after our Uncle Brad died, who was like a huge male figure in our life, so it was hard, really hard. Um, oh god, I'm gonna cry.
It was just wild to see. I remember getting those results and I was like doing all this research. I'm like, why is this showing up for Lacey? Like all of a sudden, like this is so weird. And it's like common after like a death of a loved one. And I was like, what the fuck?
So it's just like it's literally just crazy, you guys, when you realize how much this is all related, and I think just hearing that and seeing it on the paper, it gets you more bought in to
Mhm.
understanding that it's like you can't just out supplement shitty boundaries is pretty much what we're trying to say.
Yes.
But it's crazy how it will show up. And yeah, we weren't kidding. All of us coaches, we are all not even not in optimal range. We are all depleted bottom
Low.
out pretty much, which is just like eye opening for us. I think it's just crazy. So it's like, yeah, we're telling you all of this. It doesn't mean that we have it figured out. We're working through it all ourselves, but it's very common and it's just kind of crazy to understand the connection between our mental health and our physical health and our spiritual health and how it all kind of comes together. But yeah, it's wild. So, did you have anything else about like the functional test and how we see it show up?
I think that's it. We could talk about that probably all day.
I know it's interesting because even just like I can't remember if we were saying this on or before, or we were talking about it on our coach's call this morning, but it's like leaky boundaries, leaky gut. Like
Yeah.
it's just everything is connected. And the more you guys actually buy into that, the better that you're going to feel sooner, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's like because you're not eating shitty food because it tastes good and it makes you feel great. You're eating it because you don't have boundaries and plans in place that match your self-worth and how you wanna feel. You're just kinda like, "Oh, I guess I'll eat this because I gotta get my kids' lunches packed," or like, "I won't plan anything. I don't have time to plan meals or go to the gym because I'm, like, running around doing this for my boss." So, like, that's a lack of boundaries, and that's why you don't have the time and the space to take care of yourself, and it's the hardest part is it's like there's no one that's gonna, like, turn around and do it all for you. You really have to kinda make the decision for yourself. So, I think, like what Lacey said before and like what we say on every single episode, just starting to notice, like, am I even was just emailing with someone the other day who's thinking about the program, and they're like, "I just don't really feel like I need, like, the accountability. I just, like, can't get myself to do these things, like, to focus on my sleep and to go to bed on time." I'm like, "Okay, then you really probably need to do some, like, work on your inner child and why you don't think you deserve a good night's sleep." And she was like, "Holy shit." Like, I don't, because that's what you're saying at the end of the day, like, if you're up scrolling and you're watching your alarm clock and it's like, "I have 8.5 hours right now if I go to sleep." And then you're like, "I get 8 hours now if I go to sleep now, 7.5, 7." You are telling your body that you don't deserve a good night's sleep, and that is a leaky boundary you have with yourself. That's gonna make you less likely to make a healthy lunch in the morning and go for a walk and, like, take any time for yourself the following day, and it's just this, like, really intense snowball effect, so you kinda have to just step away and be like, "Okay, do I actually think I deserve to feel good?" I think that's the question that a lot of people really need to
Yeah.
ask. It's
And
like,
it's not like an easy question, you know what I mean? So if you
"No."
ask yourself that question, you're just like, yeah, well, I think I do, but you're not, everything in your life isn't in alignment with that, then you don't. And
Yeah.
so I think it's very easy to just like skim over questions like that and be like, we're afraid to get deep with ourselves, but it all comes back to also you don't know yourself good enough to be able to allow that conversation to actually happen honestly. And it's
Mhm.
hard because then if you admit it, then you're much more likely to have to do something about it and to
Yeah.
change. And that's kind of like the first catalyst to change is like admitting to yourself what lies are you telling yourself. But it doesn't mean today you might just be able to ask yourself that and you're like, oh yeah, for sure. Like I have leaky boundaries and I
Yeah.
like suck at all of this. Like it might take time to get to that point, but it's just yeah, the awareness is important. And I had something else to add and I lost it, but
Oh, shoot.
yeah, I lost it. It'll come
Okay.
to me.
Well, okay, maybe like next steps. So, like, once someone's like, I have this awareness. I think I'm an empath. I think I'm like leaky with my boundaries. Like, now what do I kind of do? And I think there's like different ways you have to come at it from kind of like a lot of different avenues. So, of course, like building up that resilience in yourself, building up those boundaries with yourself first is probably a really great place to start. So, like, if you've never set a boundary with anyone in your life, like, how are you gonna do one with yourself too, right? So, even just make it honestly with your phone. Try starting to set it. If you can set a boundary with fucking Instagram, you can set a boundary with anyone, I feel like. So, maybe you start by, like, I'm shutting my phone off at 7 at night. and I'm just gonna see what happens. And if after a week I'm like, holy shit, I was like more productive and more connected and more calm and like my sleep was better, then I can go from there. So just like I think a really good first step is probably like a boundary with yourself.
Yeah. And it just comes down to like you learn to trust yourself too. Like this is
Yeah.
really what that all about. So maybe you don't start with a super hard 7 o'clock
Yeah.
Instagram
Instagram.
boundary if you like doom scroll every night for
Sorry.
8 hours. But maybe it's just like shutting your phone off 10 minutes earlier or
Yeah.
waking up and going for that 10-minute walk or whatever it may be because you'll start to build that confidence and then it's like, "Oh, you do that. Okay, what else can I do? Oh, well, can I try to shut my phone off at 7 and see how that goes?" And then you do that, so you start to and then you build confidence, and then you're like, "Damn, what else can I do?" And then it'll be easier because you'll start telling yourselves, "Okay, I'm gonna go turn my phone off at 7 o'clock at night." So when your best friend calls that usually you answer no matter what time it is, and she always, like, trauma dumps on you, you're gonna stop answering. And so just by setting and getting more stricter with your boundaries, that's pretty much how it's going to bleed into everyone else because that's kind of how boundaries work, right? It's like what Kira said, your boundaries aren't meant to try to control another person. It's what you are allowing in your energy field or
Yeah.
whatever it is. So it starts with you, but just by setting those boundaries with yourself, it will bleed over in you starting to set boundaries with other people because you're like, well, I'm not answering your phone call at 7:30 at night
Yeah, and it's you
anymore
don't
just
even have
because
to
I always
say,
have.
like, "I'm not answering your call." It's like, "Oh, my phone's off."
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, oops.
Yeah. But
Sorry to all my friends who try to no one
yeah.
it's so funny because like, once in a while, like, I'll have my phone off on, like, past my thing, and I'm like, "I don't get any, like, no one's gonna text me or, like, see it." I'm like, "Yeah, Kira, it's because 'cause you've been having shutting your phone off for 3 years at 7 o'clock at night, and now nobody tries to contact you." Um But yeah, and then also, like, energetically and this is part of mineral balancing too, it's like if you start to build up that vitality in yourself by, like, doing your meditation and supporting the minerals that are depleted by high stress and, like, building that I don't know what the word is that I'm thinking of. I just remember we had a podcast once where we're all really worried about, like, setting the bubble around us to, like, protect us from other people's energies, but if your energy and your vitality is so strong, you, like, naturally just get a bubble, and you don't have to worry about, like, all the holes in it and constantly cutting cords because people lower than the vibration that you are putting out with your body just aren't even gonna be able to, like, enter that bubble. They won't even wanna come around you because 'cause they're just like, "Oh, nope, she's not gonna take that on." So also, like, coming from that piece of it, it's like the more you work on yourself and the more knowledge you gain and the more intentionally you support your body, it's not just like health, it's that spiritual piece of the puzzle that we've been talking about this whole time. It's going to naturally, like, level you up, attract better people that are just easier to set boundaries with. Um, yeah, I
No.
don't know.
It's
That makes
totally true
sense?
because even, like, when you are more in your unhealthy empath or your unaware empath, that's when those energy vampires, those energy drainers, they like see it and they
Yeah,
know it and they'll try their normal stuff and then they'll get in, you know what I mean? But when you do have that very strong sense of self, they'll try their normal thing and you'll immediately shut it down and then they're not going to waste their time or bother with you anymore. You know what I mean? But it's like you have to, yeah, just you got to have your boundaries within yourself or you'll never get there. So, setting boundaries with yourself, I think step number one, and just like with anything, start small, make it easy because you will start to build up that confidence. And then you can set bigger and bigger boundaries over time. And then I think the second thing is just starting to support your nervous system because it's also going to be much easier to set boundaries and stay strong with them if you're regulated
yeah,
versus if you are super dysregulated. It's very easy to either fall back into old patterns because, again, you've been like this your whole entire life, right? Not very many people go from not being an empath to being an empath. Usually we've been like this our whole entire life. And so this is what our nervous system feels like it wants, like it needs. It's like it feels safest when we are just waiting on everyone else and doing everything for everyone else and not prioritizing ourselves. So especially in the beginning, it's going to feel weird and it's going to feel like not safe and like not what you should be doing. But you just again have to be one strong in your boundaries and your awareness so you know what's happening. Because if you didn't know that, oh, this is just my nervous system like craving its past self, then
Yeah.
you would just slip back into your old habits because it feels so uncomfortable. But if you can kind of talk yourself through it, like, okay, I know that this is happening. Oh, this is why I feel so weird about like setting this boundary and it doesn't feel good because it still doesn't feel good to me when I tell someone they can't have a bite of my chocolate bar or or when I tell someone that I don't want to hang out, but I've also been someone who I have such strong self integrity that I'm very proud of. But so I've never been someone that I couldn't set boundaries for so long, but I would always say what I would always do what I said I would do. Like I was never someone that would say, "Oh yeah, I'll come to your birthday," and then like text them 2 days later and be like and make up an excuse and say that I can't go. Like if I told them to their face I was going to go, which is why I got so burnt out, so depleted because it was like I didn't know how to set that boundary and still to this day it's very like even when I was walking with Ronnie, what I loved about that whole thing was he put a Google invite on my Google Calendar, so I knew, okay, he wants 1 hour. That's
Love
what I'm
it.
gonna give him. But at the end, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna grab sushi, like, do you wanna come?" And I'm just like, "No." And he's like, "Whoa, that was weird." I was like
You said an hour.
I was like, "I know, I just have to go." And then he's like, "You're weird." I was like, "I know, I'm just not good at, like, not saying no to people yet, so I have to say it, like, very firm." But anyways, I can't remember what loop I was trying to close there, but
Oh, just talking about like supporting your nervous system. And I think that's why we talk a lot about minerals because you literally cannot have a solid nervous system if you don't have minerals on board. So you can just see, like, putting this all together, how it all loops so much. So even, yes, the breath work, yes, the grounding, yes, the tapping, yes, the boundaries, but also like eat some whole foods, have the odd adrenal cocktail and nettle tea, move your body. Like having movement and good sleep on board and good food are going to pave the way and make it so much fucking easier for you to set boundaries. If you're starving and sleep deprived and you're on a blood sugar roller coaster and you're sedentary, like I just don't know how you expect to, stand your ground and hold that space for yourself when someone is like literally coming at you. And this is your well being on the line. This isn't like, oh, it's annoying and they like took my pen and I don't have a pen anymore. It's like, this is literally showing up in your body and in your labs and causing you a lot of issues. And like, for me, it's 3 years of, like, loss and infertility, and, like, I can relate it all directly back to people pleasing and being an empath and blah, 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 and it's like, this isn't just, like, about setting boundaries and, like, life is easy. It's, like, serious, it's real, and it's showing up in the labs of all the women that we work with, and it's why we're so passionate about it, so get those foundations on
get those
board.
foundations dialed in and your life will be so much easier, but it's totally
God.
true. And so it's almost like interesting to think about it. I wonder what is more beneficial to more, and they kind of go hand in hand, boundaries and nervous system regulation, but it might be easier to add in, okay, yeah, I'm going to do 10 minutes of meditation every day to get yourself in that more regulated state, which is then going to allow you to tell your friend, to tell your spouse, to tell your whoever a specific boundary than if you were really dysregulated, but also having leaky boundaries is going to keep you dysregulated. So you kind of got to take it all as a whole. But man, the awareness is crazy, and I think too it gets easier because you realize the payoff, right? Like, it's
Mhm.
like, I still feel a little bit of like, "Oh my god, I'm sorry, I don't wanna hang out with you anymore," when I tell a person I don't wanna do that, or I'm not free for that, or I'm not open for that, but the payoff is so good that it's not preventing me, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I notice myself showing up differently, I'm way more regulated, I'm way and so it's worth it, and so it gets easier because you kinda get addicted to feeling good.
Yeah, and, like, everyone always makes fun of me because I have, like, the opposite of FOMO, and, like, people are like, "I just don't understand." I'm like, "The feeling I get when I, like, leave somewhere or I am not doing something, I just can't even explain it." So it's like a weird gift that I also have been given is like the joy of missing out. So like even like leaning into that, like what Lacey just said, it's like notice what happens when you do say no to the night out that you do not want to have. How do you feel the next day? How productive are you? And how does your entire week unfold because you didn't do that thing that you didn't want to fucking do in the first place, but that also wasn't in line with any of your other goals? And it's like, "Oh, well, now I don't wake up hungover. I have time to plan my meals. I went for a nice walk. I, like, called my mom. I went to the grocery store." And then my whole day Sunday was, like, relaxing, refueling, and setting myself up even more for a great week. It's like, "Huh, that's weird."
Yeah. And I think the more you pay attention, the more you'll realize, oh, these setting certain situations really, really drain me. These situations make me feel really, really good. How do I
Yeah,
get more of these situations, less of these situations? And even it's so funny now thinking about this because even in the last 6 months, there has been so many days where I'm like, that was pretty much my perfect day. Like, if you asked me, "What does your perfect day look like?" I would say this, which is
yeah.
so cool because, like, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, there is no way I was planning, "Okay, my perfect day would look like this, X, Y, and Z." You know what I mean? But as you kinda create this life of what you want your life to look like and get away from what does other people perceive me as in their life, like, just become your own main character, and you can create your dream life, but it starts with eating
Yeah, that is
breakfast.
crazy to think about how many days now that I'm just like, "Wow, I, like, got up, went for a walk, had breakfast with my daughter, recorded my podcast." Like,
Well, and I
you would
think
have
it's
told.
easy, like, not and it's not like we're sitting here, like, bragging or we're better than you or anything like that, but anything can have it. Like, anyone can have it. Like, we're not like, we are not special. But we've done the work. There was a lot of hard conversations that we have had. There's a lot of, like, scary chances that we've had to take on ourselves and bet on ourselves and everything like that, but it just started with first really getting, like, prioritizing our health. Regardless if it was the right way we were doing it or not, because I
Yeah.
don't think I really figured that out for many, many years, but it's you
But
can all
just
have it and we
deciding.
all get dealt different sets of cards, and of course, sometimes it's easier for people to kind of achieve that dream life and it's harder for other people, but it's not it can happen to anyone, but it you can't you'll never get there, like, people please your way into your dream life, like, there's no way, because
Yeah.
you're more worried about what people think of you than what you think of yourself. So
Mm.
yeah, freaking just
Boom,
kidding.
yeah, I think we should end it on that
I
quote.
let me look at my notes quickly because I had one more thing. Oh, just protecting your energy a little bit more, like building buffer time into your schedule after social
Yeah.
interactions, but it all just comes back to boundaries, right? Like, you don't want to just do thing after thing after thing and drain after drain after drain. Like, you need to yeah, so it's all pretty much the same.
Yeah, I feel like we
But it
covered
is a
it.
superpower, and empaths do make amazing leaders, coaches, wives, healers, friends, everything. So it's not a bad thing. And also, too, you'll inspire people to also start setting boundaries. And no one ever like cares as much as you think they're going to care.
Yeah.
So I think just understanding that, but you will inspire people and people will see what you're doing. And they'll either be ready where they'll also be able oh, that's the catalyst, and now you're inspiring them to change their life and to set more boundaries, or they're the energy suckers, the energy vampires, and they will very quickly be like, "I'm not getting what I need here," and they will just go latch on to someone else, and so it definitely is a superpower, even though sometimes it can feel a lot harder, but you just have to learn how to navigate it and use it to your advantage, because I think it's like the amount of time I get to feel, like, insane, intense, like, happiness emotions
Yeah.
for other people, like, I can't watch one TikTok of, like, American Idol or The Voice or, like,
Go
anything where
bowling.
I'm just, like, not crying because 'cause I'm like, "I just can't imagine that opportunity for that person, and they got out there and look
Yes.
at their mom and their dad," and I'm just like
Yeah.
and I can, like, feel it, like, feel I have, like, full body goosebumps, like, I get full body goosebumps so much from just, like, other people in my life sharing what's
Yeah.
going right for them, and I just think it's,
Yeah.
like, the coolest thing ever to get to experience that, and then, like, oh, how can you even help them step into that version of themselves even more so they get more of that, and I was actually thinking because I was reflecting after that day with Kirsten Ronnie because I just, like, literally noticed how high I felt, and I was like, I also love being that friend that, like, people get to brag about themselves. too, because I'm much more of like I am an empath, so I'm much more like I want to hear about you. Like I don't love talking about myself. Like I just love asking questions. I'm always curious, like how do these people's brains work? But I'm like, both of them were just like they both have like such exciting, amazing things going for them. And they were just like getting to tell me about that because you don't get to do that with all of your friends. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
like a lot of people you can't say like, oh, I'm making this much money and I'm crushing it and I feel so good and I hit my goal weight and I'm like super healthy. And you're just like saying everything that you're going right. Because if your friend isn't in a healthy place, they will
Yeah.
project and they're not gonna be able to like take that on, and I was like, "I just love that," and me just hearing about how awesome both of these people were doing literally made me feel high. Like, I'm like, "That's crazy."
Yeah, that is cool.
So,
And it's because
anyways,
you're, like, on that vibration, you don't feel dragged down by it, you don't feel guilty by it. You're like
and I'm not, like, threatened by it, understand
yeah.
there's so
Yeah.
much room at the table for everyone, you know what I mean? And just because they're killing it doesn't mean I'm any less of a person or I'm not killing it or that I can't even have that, and that's what I was even thinking about too, is, like, I've never really felt, um not jealous in the terms of, like, if Zach's talking to a hot girl, like, jealous in a relationship, maybe I'm still dealing with that for sure, but in terms of, like, comparing myself my journey to other people, I really have
Mm.
never done that. In terms of work, my health, my body, anything, I always have been just like, "Wow, if they can do it, I can do it," which is, like,
Yeah,
such a
that's
gift, I
cool.
think, and I don't really know why I'm like that, but
Yeah, I'm,
anyways,
like, trying in
I
my
don't
mind,
even
I'm
know what I'm
like, "I
talking about
wonder where
anymore,
that
but
came from. Where did
what?
that come from?" Oh, I'm just, like, in my mind, I'm always like, "Yeah, I wonder, hmm, where
Yeah,
is
but
that?"
I also think it's just because it almost, like, inspires me to take action. I don't know, like,
Yeah.
I've always just been, like, an action taker, so I'm just like, when I
Yeah.
see someone else doing it, I just know, "Well, I can do it, but now you have to do it, Lacey," and then I do it, so it's like,
Yeah.
if I want it, I know I can get it pretty much, but I
That's
don't
true.
know.
I feel like I definitely have that. I must be something in the way that we were raised. I've never doubted that, like, if I see something I want, it's because I already have it in some
Yeah,
other dimension. And I'm like, if I
s
want it, that means I'm getting it. Yay.
yeah,
This is
but
fun.
that's true, that's what desire is. It means it's if
Yeah.
you have any desire on your heart for anything, you can have it. It's already happened. And for you in this lifetime, it's just like you just have to be you and raise your awareness and you can have it. So, anyways,
We
side
should have called
tangent
this
to end the
the awareness
podcast out,
effect.
but it's a superpower. You just got to learn to use it. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions, you know where to find us. But we hope you enjoy this episode. And as always, rate, subscribe, like, make sure Jensen knows how awesome me and Kira are when she's not here. I'm just kidding. We need Jensen.
Yeah, we
Um,
have all our technical. Yeah. Anywho, what is our
Anywho,
list now? Like rate, review, subscribe, comment, follow, share.
yeah, not to ask too much of you
Have a good
guys,
day.
but please, please,
Please.
if you're still in your people pleasing era, this would make us very
Yeah,
happy.
exactly.
Okay, team. We'll catch you
Bye.
later. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in to The Wellness Effect. We're so grateful to be part of your wellness journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on Instagram for more tips, laughs, and real talk. We'll put all of our handles in the show notes. If you have questions or ideas for future episodes, slide into our DMs or send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep creating your own wellness effect.